Hi, welcome back to our fifth video of our five-part video series, and this one is called Take Control, because this is where you take your health under control. So if you're finally ready to stop using your pain as an excuse not to enjoy an active lifestyle with your friends or loved ones, and you're finally ready to start taking your health seriously, then you're on the right path. So currently, your pain holds. We all deserve to be active if we like. I don't know about you, but when I get hurt, the last thing I want to do is go and exercise. I tend to lay on the couch, watch Netflix, eat some food that I really shouldn't be eating. I usually gain a couple pounds, um, and I actually start to get depressed. And they see that with professional athletes and your average Joe. When we're hurt, we actually start to get depressed because we can't do the things that we like to do. And that brings us to the next thing. Your pain is keeping you tired and confused. We've seen in functional MRI, so imaging of the brain that tracks where the blood flows when there's a stimulus. And so when somebody is hurting, the whole brain starts to light up. It's the craziest thing. There's not just one pain center, because the brain is trying to synthesize and make sense of this information that it's getting. And so that makes us tired. There's not a lot of brain space for anything but this pain as it's trying to compute. So there's less space for thinking power. It starts to alter our hormones, which alters our mood, can make us more irritable, makes us depressed, which starts to create a burden for your loved ones. Not just a physical burden, which it does too. Your loved ones have to kind of take up the slack from you having an injured shoulder, but also an emotional burden too. They're worried about you. They love you. That's why they're your loved ones. They don't want to see you in pain. They don't want to see you hurting. And finally, your pain stays even though you've tried it all. And we've touched on this in the last couple of videos. Oftentimes, providers don't get to the root cause of why you're hurting. So they address the symptoms and never take you past that. So you get stuck in that roller coaster phase without ever addressing the reasons why you got injured in the first place. If you do nothing, honestly, nothing will change. Your trajectory will stay exactly the same. Those four things we just talked about will continue to build and build and build. You're doing less now, you're going to keep doing less. You're going to continue to get out of shape. You're already tired, you're already confused. That's going to start compounding as your brain becomes less and less able to do more and more of the normal activities. You're going to create more distance from your loved ones, especially if you're already starting to feel that tension. And then you'll probably even have more and more failed treatments because nobody is really addressing the root cause of your problem. I think about this as kind of like an airplane that's flying, right? They like to go as straight as possible. If they're off 1 or 2 degrees, it makes a huge difference in where you end up in the airplane. And in this case, where we're trying to get to is being healthy in the shortest route possible. I think we all know somebody who's a little bit older. I wrote down 70 who are fit and strong and can run marathons. And we also know 30-year-olds who are on blood pressure meds. And what's the difference? 70-year-olds, it's not necessarily just genetics. 70-year-olds have chosen the trajectory that's going to get them to the fastest path to health over the long run. So this is more than just your injury. It affects the other joints. So if we have a shoulder injury, we start to see things creep up to the neck or creep down to the elbow. That's pretty typical. Or we start moving our shoulder differently, so our other shoulder or our back starts to act up. We touched on this a little bit, but it affects your mental, your emotional, and your physical health too. And the worst is when we start to identify with our pain. We're the person with low back pain. Oh, I can't do that, my low back. Oh, I can't do that, my shoulder. And that's when this becomes a harder case to make. When we start to be the person who has shoulder pain, it becomes a big problem. So I'm Dr. Ben White. I became a physical therapist after I had a knee injury, actually 2 knee injuries. Back in college, I was ultimate frisbee, and I tore my meniscus, and I was out for a couple months. And then as soon as I got cleared, I was playing basketball. I tore my other meniscus, and had surgery on both, and I kind of had a rough recovery, um, dealing with some things, and eventually I took matters into my own hands and started doing a lot of research on knees and how one can fix themselves. Um, and eventually I became a physical therapist, and I went through a residency at the Cleveland Clinic, and I'm an orthopedic clinical specialist now. And I love helping people learn to help themselves. That whole teach a man to fish thing. Um, I love that. If I can give you the tools and techniques you need to be successful, then A, you probably don't need to see me anymore, but B, it just makes me happy knowing that you know how to help yourself. So just as a reminder, if your pain's holding you back from being active, your pain is keeping you tired and confused, your pain is creating a burden for you and your loved ones, and your pain stays even though you've tried it all, it's time to break your cycle, to break the cycle that you're in. I'm taking applicants now to work with me one-on-one. We have some different options of how we can work together, either in person in the clinic or via telehealth. So fill out the application below. We'll get back to you at your soonest convenience, and we'll work together, and we'll try to come up with a solution of how to get you out of the rut that you're in. Thanks so much for going through my video series. If you've enjoyed it and you've got something out of it, let me know on Facebook or any of the social media platforms. There's a link somewhere below to click and connect with us in a Facebook group, connect with me individually. I'd love to know what you got out of this course. Thank you so much.